Hi there, I'm Blitz. The O is silent, and I am the founder of IMP.
That's the same creator. 3 different shows, 3 different platforms, 3 different stages of indie animation history. One person made every single one of them. Meet Vivziepop. And before you say anything, yes, I know. Vivziepop is one of the most talked about indie animators on the planet right now. I am aware. So are the algorithms. Every YouTube video about her is either a stan defending her against the haters or a detractor dragging her for some take from 2017. That's not what we're doing here today. What we're doing here today is going through her actual career, the verified one. The 6 facts about Vivienne Medrano you probably don't know, even if you've seen every episode that she has ever released. And ending on the announcement she just made 8 weeks ago that brings the whole timeline full circle. Welcome back to the channel, and real quick before we get into this one, it is the same setup as our Meet Gooseworks video if you watched that one. If not, maybe check it out after. But same disclaimer, I'm gonna walk you through 6 facts, and I'm gonna ask you to bookmark things as we go. Just put it in your little memory pocket. Pay attention to when she does each thing, pay attention to the dates. That's all I'm gonna say. There's a timeline forming, we'll connect it at the end, and one more thing before the comments come out swinging. I am not here to relitigate everything Vivziepop has ever done. There are critiques of her work and her studio that are legitimate. There are critiques that are wildly out of proportion. We'll get to the difference at the back end of the video, but for now, let's actually meet the person. Vivienne Medrano was born October 28th, 1992 in Maryland. She got into animation as a child watching Bambi, which when you think about it makes a lot of sense. Bambi is the original lesson in how to use a cartoon to absolutely emotionally destroy a child. That is basically the whole Vivziepop catalog later if you really think about it. Now by 3rd grade, she was drawing in MS Paint. Her earliest work was heavily influenced by Invader Zim. Yes, Jonan Vasquez, 2001 Nickelodeon's cult classic. The dark color palette, the bug-eyed character designs, this is technically a kid's show, but you might want to double check that energy. That's where her style starts. And here's the thing. This isn't a person who appeared out of nowhere on YouTube in 2019, fully formed with a smash hit pilot. She has been training for this since she was 8 years old in MS Paint. She was on DeviantArt, because of course she was on DeviantArt. Username Vivzmind. Not Vivziepop yet, that came later, and she became known in fan circles in the early 2010s for an art style that was, and I quote her own description here, edgy, cartoony, heavily Invader Zim influenced. And if you saw the Meet Gooseworks video, this is where she met Gooseworks. Bookmark that. Gooseworks meets Vivziepop on DeviantArt in the early 2010s. They are both teenagers. The DeviantArt era of the early 2010s wasn't just where Vivziepop built an audience, it was where she found the collaborators that she would later use to build an entire indie animation studio, including the creator of The Amazing Digital Circus. In 2012, and this is the year that matters, Vivziepop did 2 things that would define everything that came after. 1, she launched her YouTube channel under the name Vivziepop. This is the same channel that now hosts Helluva Boss and the original Hazbin Hotel Pilot, the channel who has been quietly running for 14 years. Most YouTube channels don't survive 14 weeks. 2, she started a webcomic called Zoophobia. We'll come back to Zoophobia. So here's the one that surprises people the most. Most YouTube videos about Vivziepop talk about her as a self-taught DeviantArt success story, which is half true. Yes, she did build her audience on DeviantArt, but she also at the exact same time was a full-time student at one of the most respected animation schools in the country, the School of Visual Arts, New York City. From September 2010 through 2014, specializing in traditional animation. And I want you to read that again. Specializing in traditional animation. Now, while she was building Zoophobia on DeviantArt in 2012, she was already a full-time SVA animation student. That was her side project. That was her spare time hobby while she was simultaneously enrolled in one of the most rigorous traditional animation programs in the world. And she made 2 thesis films while she was there. The Son of 666 in 2013, which if the title doesn't tell you everything about where her brain was going, I don't know what does. And Timber in 2014, which won her the Dusty Award for Outstanding Achievement in Character Animation. That's an actual industry award from actual animators, and she won it at the age of 21. Then in 2016, while she was simultaneously running Zoophobia, posting on YouTube, and freelancing, she briefly attended Goblin's summer school in Paris. Goblins, as in the school that produced basically every Pixar animator under the age of 40. And shortly after that, she moved to California and worked as an animator on Nico Caleio's Too Loud. I really hope I said your name right, Nico. This is a DreamWorks TV web series. So when YouTube tells you Vivziepop is a self-taught hobbyist who got lucky, that is so far from the truth, it's kind of insane. She has a degree from SVA, a summer at Goblins, a DreamWorks TV credit, and an industry-recognized character animations award before she ever released the Hazbin Pilot. She's not an outsider artist. She's a professionally trained animator who chose to release her work on YouTube instead of choosing to pitch it to a network. That's a fundamentally different career path, and it matters. So now we finally get to the moment, October 28th, 2019. Vivziepop drops the Hazbin Hotel Pilot on YouTube. It is 30 minutes of fully animated, fully musical, independently financed, 3 years of production, independent animation. It goes immediately viral, lands one of the biggest indie animation premieres in YouTube history. Now check that date, October 28th, 2019, and Vivienne Medrano was born on October 28th, 1992. She released the Hazbin Hotel Pilot on her 27th birthday because it was her birthday. That's not, and I want to be very clear about this, that's not Vivziepop accidentally happening to drop the biggest thing of her career on her own birthday. She picked the date. She finished 3 years of independent production. She founded a studio. She self-financed the whole thing. And then she sat on the finished pilot until October 28th, 2019, so it would land on her 27th birthday. That's the kind of detail you don't get to fake. That is a person who knew what she had. And then the world responded. By early 2021, 54 million views. By February 2024, over 100 million views. By September 2025, 117 million views. And today, as we record this, well over 120 million views on the Hazbin Hotel Pilot. For an indie animation pilot on YouTube with no network behind it. What happens next is genuinely insane. Spindlehorse Tunes, founded in 2018 in Burbank, California, independent, specializes, and I'm pulling directly from their mission statement here, in championing a renaissance in 2D frame-by-frame animation, which is animation purest code for we hand draw everything the slow way because we love it. Now watch the timeline. October 28th, 2019, the Hazbin Hotel Pilot drops on YouTube, becomes the biggest indie animation pilot in YouTube history at the time. November 25th of 2019, she drops the Helluva Boss Pilot. 1 month later, the same studio, the same energy, different shows. Helluva Boss now sits at over 259 million total video views as of early 2026. In August of 2020, A24 picks up Hazbin Hotel for a full series. Yes, that A24, the studio that made Moonlight and Everything Everywhere All at Once. August 2023 rolls around and Amazon orders 2 seasons of Hazbin Hotel from A24 and Vivziepop. January 19th, 2024 rolls around, Hazbin Hotel Season 1 premieres on Amazon Prime Video. Vivziepop is now the creator, director, and executive producer of an A24 distributed Amazon original. October 29th of 2025, Season 2 premieres, and the show is renewed through Season 5, which has now been confirmed is its final season. April 25th, 2025, and this is where it gets really wild, Amazon Prime Video also picks up Helluva Boss as a co-production, with Vivziepop retaining full creative control and final cut on the series. Read that twice. In an era when streaming platforms strip creative control from creators on contact, she managed to negotiate to keep it. August 2025, Spindlehorse announces an Australian division called Spindleroo, because at this point, why the hell not? Their first project is a Homestuck animated pilot, the first Spindlehorse family production that is not built around Vivziepop's own characters. That's a studio expanding into a fully independent production house. So here's where we are. In a single 7-year stretch, Vivziepop went from dropping a self-financed pilot on YouTube on her birthday to running a multi-studio, international, independent animation company with shows on Amazon Prime, a renewed Hazbin Hotel through Season 5, an Australian division, and ownership of her creative control on every show in her catalog. That's not a YouTube success story, that's an indie animation revolution with one person at the center of it. And now I want to take all of that and put it all together. 2012, teenage Vivziepop launches Zoofobia on her DeviantArt. The same year launches her YouTube channel. That same channel still runs today. 2012 to 2016, Zootopia runs as her main creative project. She develops the world, the characters, the themes, especially an arc called Angels and Demons, and I want you to bookmark that one too. November 2016, Zootopia goes on an indefinite hiatus. She announces that she's putting the comic on pause so that she can develop the Angels and Demon arc into an animated series. 2018, that animated series becomes its own studio, Spindle Horse Toons. October 29th, 2019, that studio releases Hazbin Hotel as its first pilot on her 27th birthday. 2024, Hazbin Hotel premieres on Amazon Prime Video. 2026, she is one of the most watched indie animators in the world. Read that one more time. Hazbin Hotel is structurally a Zootopia spin-off. The world, the energy, the Helen redemption framing, the cast that draws from her early character designs. All of it came from a webcomic that a Maryland teenager was posting DeviantArt 14 years ago. And then 8 weeks ago at Level Up Expo, April 24th, 2026, Vivziepop walks onto a panel stage in front of fans who have been asking her about Zootopia for about 10 years. And she announces on behalf of Spindle Horse Toons that Zootopia is officially returning as a brand new animated mini-series of shorts.
You know, the future of Spindle Horse is going. We do have one that we can share with you today that we are ready to.
Here's a quote. Zootopia is finally returning at Level Up Expo. Vivziepop announced that after years of fans asking, we're going back to where it all began. Refreshed while staying true to the heart of the original, a brand new series of shorts will bring fans back into the world of Zootopia. Think about what that means. The 2012 DeviantArt webcomic that a 19-year-old Vivienne Medrano started while she was a freshman at SVA that went on hiatus in 2016 so that she could build Hazbin Hotel, that then became the seed of an A24 Amazon Prime series and a Helluva Boss Empire and an Australian studio division, is coming back from the same person in the same universe. As a miniseries, her own studio is producing. The kid in Maryland with the webcomic in 2012 is producing the same webcomic for her own studio in 2026, and in between those facts, she built one of the largest indie animation operations on the planet. That's the loop, that's the arc, that's why she released Hazbin on her birthday in 2019, because she knew what she was building. Most people, by the time they get to the point Vivziepop is at right now, A24 deals, Amazon Prime, full creative control, would never go back to the scrappy webcomic that started it, but she did. Because as her own boss, she can do what she wants on her own terms. And here's why this video has a second half. Now, I gotta level with you. There's a reason I'm making this video right now, and it's the same reason I made the Meet Gooseworks video. Vivziepop has more sustained online hate than any other working indie animator that I can think of. Not people don't like her work, not people think the new Hazbin season had pacing issues. That's normal criticism. That's part of being a creator. What Vivziepop gets is on a different scale entirely. And before anyone in the comments rushes to tell me, yes, I am aware that some of the criticism of Vivziepop's history is legitimate. She's been online since she was a teenager. She made decisions in public when she was 19 years old back in 2012, 2013, 2014. Some of those decisions, by her own admission in a 2018 Tumblr post, she would not make today. That's part of being someone who has lived their entire creative life on the internet since 2010 and probably earlier. That's fine. That is what should happen. Creators answer for their own history. Critics get to do criticism. That's the deal. But the volume and the intensity of the hate that she still gets in 2026 for stuff that mostly happened a decade ago goes way beyond reasonable criticism. It's the same pattern that I documented in the Meet Gooseworks video. Toxic fandom dynamics in the indie animation scene specifically. Glitch Productions Gooseworks getting harassed off public posting. Dana Terrace deleting her Twitter account in April 2026 over Owl House fandom harassment. Sayonde, the manga creator, deleting their Twitter the same month over harassment about a subplot. The Gameoverse pilot from Ross O'Donovan and Aaron Hansen getting attacked online within 24 hours of the pilot dropping. And Vivziepop? Vivziepop has been getting it every single day since the Hazbin Hotel launch, pretty much. Now look, I'm not going to pretend toxic fandom is new. It's older than indie animation, it's older than YouTube, but the way it's being aimed at these people who built the scene is honestly kind of scary, and it is getting worse. Hell, look at the response that Gameoverse got for a character wearing a bikini at the fucking beach. That's where we are at. And the thing that nobody seems to be saying out loud is that these are people. These are human beings, real people with names and studios and teams and limits. Vivziepop is a real human being. Vivienne Medrano, born on October 28th, 1992, Salvadoran American animator. Since she was 8 years old, you can disagree with her creative choices. You can dislike her shows. You can prefer Glitch over Spindlehorse or vice versa. That's fine. That's what audiences are supposed to do. But you have to remember that when you hit post on whatever you're about to say about an indie animator on the internet, a real person is going to read it. I'm not asking anyone to be a fan of things that they don't like. I'm asking you to be a human about it, because no one is forcing you at gunpoint to watch any of this. Times change, and we need to start allowing human beings who can make mistakes and do make mistakes to learn from the past, to learn what we learn as we go. Just because you may have grown up in an era where things that Vivziepop or anybody, Gooseworks, whoever, have said in the past that was acceptable at the time, if they acknowledge that it is not okay now, that is called growth. That means they are growing as humans, they're growing as people, they're taking new information, and that is affecting how they think, how they feel, and how they operate. When you crucify people for something they did in the past and never allow them to grow, how do you ever expect anybody to change or grow? It's just going to fester disdain and hatred, which is exactly what's happening. So here's what I keep coming back to with this one. The indie animation revolution didn't happen because of a single big studio decision. It happened because a generation of teenage internet artists, Vivziepop on DeviantArt at age 18, Gooseworks on DeviantArt at the same time, Liam Vickers in his bedroom, Worth the Kids running a one-person studio out of one room, never stopped making things, and eventually the rest of the world had to catch up. And Vivziepop, specifically, is the one who showed everyone else what a fully scaled up version of that path looked like. A self-financed pilot dropped on a birthday in 2019 turned into an A24 Amazon Prime franchise, a multi-studio independent operation, and a Zoophobia reveal in 2026 that she's producing for herself. That's the cleanest example of the indie animation kids actually won. We have, and it's hers. I love that this scene exists. I love that I get to make videos about one of the people who built it. I love that we live in a world where Vivienne Medrano gets to release Zoophobia on her own terms in 2026. I love a world where Vivienne Medrano gets to release Hazbin Hotel and change the industry. That Vivienne Medrano can release Helluva Boss and change the industry. That Gooseworks can create the amazing digital circus and change the industry. I mean, you see these box office numbers. That is a level that I don't think anybody could have ever imagined in a million years. A finale of an independent animation dwarfing full-blown industry Hollywood productions. That's insane. And it's something that's worth celebrating. Not all of these projects will be for everyone, obviously. Especially Vivian's. It's about creatures in hell cursing and making dick jokes. And the crazy thing is, that's what people would lead you to believe is the entire show, which is just factually incorrect. The point I'm getting at is these fan bases are destroying people, and it keeps getting worse. If you're one of the people attacking these creators every other day on Twitter or in comment sections, you're part of the problem. Full stop. If you're ranting every time a new episode of something comes out that you hate, maybe it's just not for you. Maybe take that energy and showcase the things you love, not the things you hate. Maybe you don't need to watch it. I know that may come across harsh, but for a lot of these scumbags that I'm referring to, it's the truth. And Vivian, if you are watching this, seriously, I just want to thank you. You inspired me and our team here in a way that I don't think anybody else could have. You made us realize something that we never thought was possible, that anybody who cares enough can create a piece of animation. You don't need big backing. You don't need Netflix. You don't need any of that. You can show your worth on the internet just from your passion. And sometimes that passion can grow into a lifetime of opportunities at your feet that you would have never been able to imagine if you didn't just take the chance and take that leap of faith. So seriously, thank you and keep creating. And if you're not Vivian and you're watching this, share the video with a friend. That's all I ask. Take this as an opportunity to learn and see what you can maybe do, what you can maybe create. And please do not let this vocal minority of scumbags on the internet dissuade you from pursuing your dream. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.